I'm Matt Tench. You know, home is where we live in the present, reflect on the past, and make decisions about who we're going to be in the future. There may come a time in your life where you decide for you, your family, or your business, you need to change locations to best suit who you are at the time. I've had the opportunity to represent many people in various circumstances throughout my life, and I want you to know that no one takes this more seriously than I do. I know that your home or your business location is one of the most critical issues you'll ever face in your life. For many of you, it's your most valuable asset. So if that time should come, I want you to know I'm your realtor. Call me at 513-464-9836.
So I think one of my favorite things to come down here with my wife is seeing people right here on the corner taking selfies or photos with the ring lights behind them or behind here. Just seeing people walking the streets, kids laughing and running down the street like they are right now. The idea that community is walking up and down these streets and interacting, the number of vehicles traveling, as somebody who's worked down here for 24 years, has grown exponentially already. We've got lots of people noticing and commenting on that. And of course, that's all great for business.
Yeah, I agree. I think the setup of the way that the lights are is something that I would have never expected. Not just the ring lights in the center, but also you call these the candelier lights. How did you come up with the kind of like the color scheme?
So the colors are completely, they're full LED. So we can change them for whatever season is happening, whatever event is happening. Once Hanukkah starts, there's a series program for Hanukkah. So we can just go through all of that. Say we have some like a pink for cancer awareness type of event. We can change them to all to pink. So it's fully customizable. And becomes part of the character of what we're trying to do here.
It's like a live sculpture. It changes, kind of like those ones with the wind that kind of move. These lights can change with the season.
Yep, absolutely. So in the middle of 4th and Main, we're going to have a mural. And ultimately, that mural will be another type of an art installation. We had hoped to have that installed, but the temperatures changed. But once that happens, we ultimately are going to have a big, giant grand opening celebration down here, and we'll kind of show all of the wonderful things off that we have available to.
We stand aside, great works of art that we've already had. There was one down here at Stay Rooted, but I know there was a car that ran into that.
That will come back, but you also have the mural on the side of the VFW as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think what the real opportunity that is before us is, remember, all the traffic before was northbound. So when you're looking north, all of the murals are on the southbound side. Well, now because there's two-way traffic, you have all these new wonderful canvases for southbound traffic on the northbound side of buildings that we now get to bring into the fold. So again, when we talk about being just a very infant stage of this process, we've got a lot of time and space to grow into this, and this will be a central part of this community's future for generations to come.
I know you mentioned the VFW, which I was aware of. I just didn't come off the top of my head. There's also the one of the diner down there. And then there's a big bicentennial Ohio, state of Ohio, right over there by Mr. Frosty's, right?
That mural that was at that building was never actually intended to stay as long as it was. That building was slated to be demolished many years ago. That is the only, I believe, bicentennial mural that was not installed on a barn. That building was ultimately purchased and obviously preserved. Okay, but what was a temporary mural became a long-time permanent mural. And so over time, weather just started to erode and it started to chip apart. The building owners, as part of the restoration, sealed all of the caulk and all that kind of stuff, and that caused some damage to it to begin with. Unfortunately, there was a couple of car crashes that happened, but now that this is done, and again, we're starting to get a sense of what type of artwork, how can we break this up? It doesn't all have to be this historic point in time period. There's room for some new and old to blend together. And I think that's one of the opportunities of our town. We have space for new construction, But that new construction, according to the downtown plan, has to match the characteristic of the old town, specifically Main Street's characteristics, right? Yeah. But do so in a way that the building materials are affordable, that the building's energy efficient, and that is going to help those businesses that move into the area succeed, while you have other buildings from the early 1800s, mid 1800s, that are going to take a substantial financial investment to bring them up to today's codes, put fire protection sprinkler systems in them, upgrade the electric, elevators, whatever the case may be, right? Tremendous financial investment. But those folks have to be able to make a profit, because otherwise it won't happen, right? Yeah. So if we can get those folks to draw those in, use some of the incentives that are available between us and the state of Ohio to make it affordable for them to do so, bring in and attract new businesses, those two will become the destination. Next thing you know, we're going to be just like Lebanon or Waynesville or anybody else.
Yes, I think all of that stuff is great for businesses, but I think some artists, you just turn their ears on. So there's a lot of opportunity down here for artists to get in contact with cities, the city officials, or people who own the buildings, or people who own the businesses, and discuss potential for the future. Is there any kind of way that you go through a vetting process for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it'll depend on who owns the project and who's what's going to happen of it. But that's certainly something that we can work with the building owner, as well as any potential artist is a part of as well.
That's great. And so I think you were telling me earlier, some of the design for like the way that the red brick is divided up with the cement, and the way that the lighting is arranged, it came down to a stylistic choice between the people who were making those design choices. Is there any more about that process you can go into?
One of the things that is wise about what we have done is we were able to partner with design landscape professionals that do this work for a living. It is their profession, it is their passion, it is what they do, and they are experts at it, right? And so the thing that you want to do, you don't want to do, is get in the way of an artist and let them carry that out, right? So the folks that are doing this is what they do. Yeah. And we have been able to leverage what they have learned in other communities and tie all of that together for a palette that is unique to Franklin. Yeah. Okay. So for example, this catenary light system up here. There is no other lighting system like this in the world. So the people that design this lighting, they design this lighting and they install it all around the world, literally all around the world, right? We wanted to go to a much larger bulb, right? Yeah. And so the firm that designed this has actually now termed this in their catalog as the Franklin.
Oh, really?
We are actually part of the impetus of this design. Nothing else like this exists. For the longest time, I have heard people say, well, if we would just do half of what Miamisburg did, or half of, whatever. And my argument has always been, why do I want to do half of anything somebody else has done? Sure. Nothing against Miamisburg. I go to Miamisburg all the time. Yeah. I love it up there. But the reality is, high tides rise all ships. Sure. And if we can all collectively work together and we become a tourist destination, that is the ultimate goal of what we are trying to do.
I think that speaks to kind of the goal behind the art that we were talking about earlier. I think that it's important, just like the Harding Museum, to help preserve the heritage of what made Franklin a great place to stop originally, but then it transitions into something that can allow younger folks who are coming up to have a little bit different visions to kind of meld with that and take Franklin to a new place. And you see that through the murals we talked about. There's from different time periods. Obviously here at the bank, it's a little bit older than the soda shop down there, and vice versa. But I think that's a very intelligent thing to do as far as in planning, because if you make it all one thing and it's stunted in the history, then the kids coming up that have a vision for a slightly different future don't have any kind of hope that anything will change. But at the same time, when you maintain the heritage, it gives the people who've always been here something to hold on to as well. And I think that's very smart.
You got to preserve that history. that sense of identity. That's
Mhm.
important to this community. It's important to me. I've only lived here for 24 years. I say only as if that's a short period
Yeah,
of
right.
time, but I've only been here 24 years, and there are people who have lived here for generations.
Yeah.
And I understand and I respect that. I think the opportunity for young folks to come in and have their own sense of identity and their own purpose, and blending that together is a very unique and exciting opportunity, because this tradition has to carry on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I am very proud of is the number of times that it's easy now because it's done, but when we were talking about this and trying to communicate what's in our heads and how to actually transition this into something that people can understand,
Yeah.
when I have lifelong residents, people who have been here for 60 years, breaking down in tears because they recognize that we're doing something new and exciting,
Mhm.
but in their words, it still feels like home,
Yeah.
right? That is the highest compliment you can offer somebody doing what we've done.
I agree.
Because it's one thing just to knock everything down and start fresh, and you say, well, what just happened?
Yeah.
Where did my hometown pride go?
Right.
It's here. It's still here.
Yeah.
It's enhanced. It's better. It's for a new generation. It's for new opportunities, because we've got another 100 years and more to go.
Yeah. And I think that given what you guys have done here, you've set up an environment, like you said earlier, where you're going to allow the people of Franklin a space to be Franklin and to become who Franklin will be in the future. And I think for myself, and I think for most of the residents out there, it's exciting because there's always been a magic about Franklin that's kind of hard to nail down specifically. But for so many years, it felt like it was going through a sort of death, so to speak. But it feels like there's new life in it, and I think there's much to celebrate there.
Absolutely, completely agree.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, sir.
All right.